with me comedian Brinn Daniels. She's hilarious. She's going to talk about her journey into comedy, what she's been up to, and that's just episode 1. In episode 2, she's going to bring a joke. We're going to workshop it. You're going to love it, so stay tuned.
It's all messed up, yeah, everything's messed up. We're going from this mess up to the next setup. Everything seems so messed up, but it's just our setup.
Everybody, I'm Michael Halcomb, and today I have with me comedian Brinn Daniels. Brinn, this is the first time we're meeting. It's good to meet you. How are you?
Great to meet you. I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm all right. A little tired these days as the college season is kicking in and teaching duties are amplified and all that. But yeah, I'm doing all right. So start of college season's always kind of wild. So yeah,
you have all your courses built out and everybody's moved in?
Yeah. I had my courses built out. Thankfully, I was able to recycle some from last year, a little bit, although I did restructure them about 95%. So I had a little bit to work with, but I teach Comp 1 and Comp 2, so that's pretty cool because I get to develop my own curriculum, and I teach writing in the classroom through joke writing. So that's really fun.
That's really fun.
Yeah, I think it's fun. We'll see if the students think it's fun. They're not as obsessed with joke writing and comedy as I am. Hopefully it'll be infectious for one or two of them. That's the hope. So
I got to teach a comedy writing class where their final was a 5-minute stand-up session. And I mean, this is students where some of them didn't care at all about it, and They did really well. It was pretty fun to see them get into it. Yeah.
That's cool. So one thing I was just writing email before we got on here to record. I'm trying to start a comedy club, not like a building, but like a club for the college campus, like hiking club or chess club or whatever, like comedy club. I don't know if I'll get any takers this year, but the idea was let's get together and watch funny movies. Let's watch funny TikTok reels or YouTube clips or whatever. Let's watch comedians together and so on and so forth. But we'll see. The college fair is this Friday, so yeah.
I guess you'll get a few weirdos. And I mean that in the best possible way.
I don't mind hanging out with the weirdos. So, it's good to have you. And so I don't know much about you, so I'm curious to find out. Where are you? Let's start there.
Yeah, I'm in Nashville. I've been here since about 2008, so a good long time.
All right, right on. And the comedy scene seems to be really picking up in Nashville.
It is bustling. Yeah, we've got a lot of really strong comedians, and it's fun to watch a lot of them kind of get big, go to LA, just tour and come back. We really do have a really robust scene. And Nate Bargatze, Dusty Slay, Brian Bates, they're doing a lot of great stuff. Aaron Weber with Zany's here. So it's a really cool time to be in clean comedy here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the clean comedy thing is interesting. What made you gravitate toward that? Do you work only clean?
I do now. Yeah. I had one semi-dirty joke. It didn't end up being me,
Right.
Yeah, I just thought this was more me. I'm a mother, I'm a teacher, it just didn't feel like me. So clean is just who I am.
Right. That's cool. And yeah, so are those beyond those Nashville guys you just mentioned, do you have any comedic superheroes that have influenced you and you watched as a kid and you were that's what I want to do kind of thing?
I had so many when I was a kid, but recently, in the last few years, I love Katherine Ryan. Have you heard of her? She's Canadian, based out of Britain. She's so funny. She's very much not clean, but I really, really love her. And I mentioned, our local heroes, Nate Bargatze, Dusty Slay, Brian Bates, they're awesome. And I've been a fan of Nate Bargatze for a long time. And then there's this woman, Kelsey Cook, who's starting to blow up, and I've been a fan of hers for several years. So
Okay.
those are a couple of my Fortune Feimster. Yeah, a lot of good
All right.
influences.
Did you grow like? I don't want to ask how old you are because that's not a polite thing to do. But did you grow up in the 80s? Like, when were you growing up? Like, when were your teenage years?
80s and 90s. I'm a teenager in the 90s. I remember when Comedy Central became a thing. I don't know if you do.
Yeah.
Like, I vividly remember, and I watched it all the time. Stand-up comedy, I just absorbed it.
This jogs my memory. I think I saw this on Facebook. You were an intern at SNL at one point. Like, you posted a picture of yourself, a clip or something.
Yeah. They let me be an extra in the background on a couple of sketches while I was there, and I think only one ended up making it to air, and that's the one I posted. But I'm sitting right next to Jimmy Fallon.
Right. That's pretty cool. So how did that come about? How did you end up as an intern on SNL?
I mean, like everything, it's all about who you know. And I didn't know anybody going to the city. I'm from Florida. I went to college in New York City. I went to NYU. But I didn't know anybody. I didn't have connections. My parents are pharmacists. But I went to a job fair when I was at NYU, and I met a woman who was hiring for interns for the first time ever at Comedy Central headquarters in New York. And because I was an early bird, I was the first person there. I was the first person that she had ever talked to about an internship, at least for this new position at this place, at this particular fair. And so she remembered me and she hired me. So I got Comedy Central headquarters at a really, really fun time. I was in the development department. And so two of my bosses were stand-up comedians, and one of them has blown up. I don't know if you know who Jessie Klein is. She would not remember me, but she is fantastic stand-up comedian. She has a podcast, and she's awesome. But so I actually was working right under her there, and I was there when Robert Smigel was another, SNL great, when he was developing his television shows. So I got some very interesting questions asked of me as a young person. They would try to get my opinion on weird stuff. Yeah, it was really fun. And so I got that one. Also, Strangers with Candy was going on at that time, so I got to go to one of their parties, and I got to go to a Comedy Central regular party, kind of an after party after someone's special. So it was really fun stuff. And then I met someone there who was connected through Strangers with Candy, who's connected with The Daily Show. And they got me an interview at The Daily Show, and I got hired as an intern there. And then, I know, it's just like this series, but it all started with just like being the first person there. But then I got The Daily Show, I interned there, and then the person who was the receptionist there knew the guy hiring at SNL. That's how I got that internship.
That's incredible. Wow. I mean, even like that's a great resume right there. You've got to work for Comedy Central, SNL, that's The Daily Show. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I peaked in college for sure.
So, you've been around the comedy stuff for quite a while then. And when did you just tell me this? Like, when did you first start doing stand-up?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I always loved stand-up, and I remember even at my first class at NYU, we would go around and do those silly introductions, and there was one girl who said, and I do stand-up comedy on the weekends, and I just basically accosted her, and I was like, you're going to be my best friend now. And we're best friends to this day. But I did improv in New York, and for some reason that felt safer. I was always just really terrified to do stand-up because that's so raw, and it's me, and it's my writing, and it's nobody to blame anything on if it doesn't go well. So I was just frankly too scared. And then, you live a little life and you get a little older and you go through a divorce in my case, and you're like, I don't know, I don't think I really care what other people think of me as much anymore, and I've always wanted to do this. I'm getting older, let's do it, right?
Right. Wow. So was that 5 years ago, 10 years? Like, how long you been at it?
I took a class. We have a great theater here called Third Coast Comedy Club, and they do stand-up comedy classes. I took a class there because I'm an academic like you, so that made me feel also better about it. In 2019, late 2019. So I don't know if you know what happened in early 2020, but I kind of didn't get to do a lot of comedy for a couple years. Yes, I spent a lot of time writing. Even like half my college classes were shut down, but I also had kids and they were trying to do online school a bit. It was a little messy. I was doing, creative stuff with Photoshop. I teach film, so I was doing like Photoshop and film stuff and just to keep myself busy. But yeah, definitely was trying to write. I wasn't good at it yet, and I couldn't try it out too many places. But I still have a lot of jokes that are, starts of jokes that I wrote back then that I haven't gotten to yet.
Nice. So do you? I kind of have a practice of like keep everything. Like, are
Yes.
you like that?
Yes.
It's just a word, a funny word, or a thought. Like, it's in my file. Like, I have thousands. Like in this program I use to keep everything, like I have just thousands of ideas for jokes, and I don't know. I try to keep it all. Like it says premises dash need written, and the list just runs and runs and runs and runs.
What special? You said you have a program that you use. What program do you use for that?
So it is the most incredible software. If you're out there listening and you're curious, it's super great. It's called Joplin. It's free. It's like a database software, and you can tag every joke. You can find stuff in it very easily. You can sync it between all your devices. It's amazing.
I'm gonna have to try that.
I keep everything in there, so it's incredible, really. I looked and looked and looked for months, and then kind of accidentally found it. I was trying to figure out. Nothing had exactly what I needed, or like the kind of layout that I wanted, and then boom, this hit. So yeah, it's really really good.
I'm in the dinosaur ages using Pages, but I do the same thing. I save everything. Like when I
Yeah,
get some time, I'll kind of go through and put them, kind of categorically so I can start making chunks out of them. And
right,
that gives me a good chance to kind of go through and go, okay, do any of these feel right? Like, could I write this one now? So I'll
right.
periodically try to do it
Yeah,
that way.
yeah. I've got a lot of jokes that I've written that are terrible too.
Oh, same.
But I have had a couple, two, three, four of those experiences where, like, I wrote it, a year and a half earlier or whatever, and then something happened in life, and I'm like, that's the word or the punch that I needed. That's what I needed in the setup. There's the connector that I needed. Like something like that has happened, and it's like come around, and so I'm like glad I didn't get rid of it. And you
Absolutely.
kind of hear that stuff from seasoned comedians when you get started, like, oh, that's silly. Like something you wrote like years ago would come back around and make sense, but it's true. It's like absolutely true.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I mean, I'm obsessed with. I'm really, really, probably unhealthily obsessed with like joke writing. I think certainly there's an art to it, but I'm convinced there's a science to it as well. And so a lot of my free time is really analyzing and studying joke writing and joke technique and these sorts of things. And I imagine working around The Daily Show and SNL and Comedy Central, like you probably you're tuned to that, like as well, I would
I
assume.
hope so. I love writing, and I love wordplay. I always have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even my son, it's rubbed off on him. He was in fifth, no, sorry, when he was 5, they named him the Pun King at preschool, at his preschool graduation. Yeah. So we love
That's
some
like
wordplay.
that's proud parent moment right there. Like,
Oh, so proud. Yeah.
forget like most well behaved.
Yeah.
No,
Don't
Pun
need
King is like
straight A's,
excellent.
forget it. Pun King, I'm there.
Yeah. That's awesome. Pun King. So yeah, I mean, have you like toyed with the idea of like persona and this stuff? Do you feel like you've dialed that in for yourself? Like, and if so, can you talk a little bit about that?
I'm sure that it's all the way dialed in. I think sometimes I really wish that I had a more positive spin on things, just like a better role model in that way. I don't know. I think I'm a mom, I'm a mom and someone who has a lot of sarcasm. I've just grown up around a lot of sarcasm, so I think that's a lot of it. It really
All
is
right,
me
so
on stage, yeah.
the smart aleck mom, the sarcastic mom.
Yeah.
Who are you like? Who does your sarcasm? Who's it mainly aimed at? Like your kids, spouse, just everybody? Like who is there like a focal target that you sort of dial into?
I mean, I'm not, when I joke about my husband, and he loves this, I'm pretty kind to him. But, you know, he's my second husband, so he gets that leeway.
Right.
And my kids, too. I mean, they're just, my family's funny. I don't know. A lot of times with that kind of stuff, nobody's the butt of the joke. It's just, I grew up in Florida. We swam with alligators. Like, I had a weird childhood, you know? And I love it, you know, I love it. And so it's kind of coming at it from that angle for the most part.
Yeah. All right. So a lot of this stuff is derived from like childhood stories or like childhood trauma, childhood memories.
Yeah, childhood stories about my family, like from when I was a child, or even my family now. Like my kids are hilarious. You know, I mean, you know, you always have one kid. How many kids do you have?
3.
Yeah. So they're all different. They all, I mean, you know, they all require something different from you. You're constantly having to change your tactic, which makes you a better performer. But yeah, they're just, having kids is hilarious. They will tell you what's wrong with you. They will say crazy stuff. I love doing this joke about my daughter and how just one day we're in the car and she says, "Mom, I think I figured out the perfect way to murder someone." Like, that's a real thing that an 8-year-old said to me. So proud. I mean, it's like when you're a parent, you just like never know what they're gonna say, you know?
It's like, and you're telling me this? Because, like, should I be worried tonight? Yeah.
We did have that conversation. She ended it, you know, I don't tell this part on stage, but she did go on to say, like, "Mom, like, if I was in jail, would you hate me?" I was like, "I wouldn't hate you." She's like, "Would you be mad at me?" I was like, I would be disappointed." She goes, "What if I murder someone?" I was like, "Well, listen, I would still love you, but I would not hide you from the police." The line that we've created together.
Oh, wow. All right. Yeah, that's funny. Huh. Yeah. Well, I wonder what got her on that kick. the perfect murder. That's funny. Yeah.
Biology class that year, and I know she was dissecting something, so I think that's how it started. But,
okay.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
All right. Yeah. Well, interesting. So your website, I'm going to try to bring that up here if I can, is BrinnDaniels.com. That's Brinn with 2 N's at the end for those of you watching or listening. For those of you watching, you should be able to see here in just a moment Brinn's website up on the screen. For those of you listening, obviously you won't be able to see it, but very good, high quality photo there, Brinn, right at the top.
We have a great photographer here in Nashville who does a lot of our headshots. Shout out to Michael Scott Evans.
Yeah, all right. That's like the font here reminds me of like Roseanne or something like that. What is the?
Yes.
What, does it does it remind you of that at all?
Absolutely.
I'm not sure what. Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's got a good Roseanne vibe, good clean website. You can see some of the stand-up there as well. And then on the My Shows tab, all the upcoming shows. So we are about halfway through August. And there's still, at the time we're recording this, a few shows left, but also some stuff coming up in September. If that's, I don't know exactly the date this is going to go live, but you can see the flyers on there, and I assume you try to keep this up to date.
I also keep my Instagram and Facebook pretty up to date as well.
All right, so the Instagram and Facebook, so if you click the contact, you get the email there. Nice little form, and yeah, so go check this out. And if you are in the Nashville area or anywhere around there, I have to ask this: why don't you have your social media links on the website? I can't get to them from like your Instagram from the website. Is it on there somewhere? Am I missing?
I honestly didn't notice it until you said it. Probably got accidentally removed the last time I updated the website because I did it so quickly in such a hurry for like somebody that was going to look at it, And and I probably just
All
forgot.
right.
So I'm glad that you showed me that, and I can get that back on there. Have you ever done that?
The
Where you're
joy,
just like so in the weeds on, I got to get this new video on here and headshot before this booker, and then you just leave something.
right. That's funny. All right. Well, if you're watching or listening to this, go to BrinnDaniels.com, and probably by the time this airs, she'll have the, social links up there as well. So pretty cool. And yeah, so I'm curious, like the family dynamics. Like, what do your kids think of you being a stand-up comedian?
I mean, I hear a lot of other comedians talk about how embarrassed their kids are, but my kids are supportive. They'll come to shows once in a while. If I do a joke that involves them, I will let them give me approval or disapproval. So, I mean, I tell a story about my oldest daughter being born, about my youngest, when some things that were happening like before I adopted her, and I always ask them, is this okay? Are you okay if I say this mistake? And luckily,
Yeah.
they haven't vetoed me yet.
That's a good rule of thumb. The only one that's vetoed me, like my kids haven't, my wife has vetoed some of the the jokes that I've written. Not many, but yeah. Do you try jokes out on your family all the time?
My husband, my kids, like 2 of them are teenagers. They don't. Nothing is cool, But my husband, actually, I took that first comedy class with my husband while we were dating. So yeah, so we used to write together on Saturdays when we were dating. So I still use him to bounce stuff off of now. He's very funny.
That's awesome. I know if I can get my wife to laugh at a joke, there's a high chance it's gonna work, like in a show.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you're doing a lot of shows. Are you doing many open mics these days, or is it mainly shows?
I try to get open mics when I can. The kids are keeping me busy. All of them have activities. We have 3 as well, so I just feel like we're constantly like Uber drivers right now. Although my oldest did just turn 16, so that's going to help a lot. But I do still think it's important to hit the mic, so I do that when I can.
Okay.
Do you go anymore, or have you kind of feel like you've graduated?
I try to go every now and then, but it's hard. It's being a parent. It's hard. The kids playing sports, and I don't know. Like, comedy is not yet the full-time job. It'd be great if it was one day.
And then kids too, it's like you have to be up early, and often like at the university level, you've got clubs or like some other thing that some event that you have to be a part of.
Right.
It's hard.
It does. And I don't want to like miss the kids stuff if I cannot, like open mics, you get 4 to 5 minutes on a mic, and sometimes you gotta wait an hour and a half before you get to go up, and then
In
you
Nashville,
stayed out.
You can wait even longer. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you miss dinner with the family, and you sacrifice that evening, and to do 4 or 5 minutes on an open mic, you're not getting paid for it. There's just a lot of frustration points for me that almost make trying to avoid it worth it. And I use the sandwich strategy a lot to sort of like bypass the open mics, which I know I'll have 2 jokes that for sure work, and I'll stick one in there that's new that I'm unsure about, so that if it bombs or doesn't work, I can win them back immediately. And that's proved a really good way to kind of bypass mics. But I was telling my barber today, he plays pool, and I was trying to explain to him, it's just like, when you shoot, you hit the cue ball, and the ball that it's going to hit is going in, like on the release, or like a 3-point shot, right? On the release, it's good. Like some jokes feel like that, right? Yeah. You write them or come up with them on the spot or whatever, and that's it. That's going to work. Like, I don't need to go to an open mic to test that. Like, I have all the confidence in the world in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Like, and I feel like for me, like I've dialed into my persona to a good degree. Not that it's all that different than who I am in in real life. There's some differences. Having like that really helps me dial into some of the joke writing as well. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's beneficial, but I've grown weary, to be honest with you, of open mic scenes, and I don't say that arrogantly in the least. It's just like I'm in my mid 50s and I have several kids, and this isn't yet my full time job. So yeah, it's tired. It's tiring.
It is tiring. We have a bunch of them here, which helps because then you have more options. Where are you located?
So I'm in North Carolina, Asheville area. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have many. We have a lot, and but because there's a lot of comedians, yeah, you'll get on a list, you'll wait, and you may not even get up.
Right.
And I've waited 3 hours to go up last before, or you get cut off, before, and it's disheartening.
Yeah, very. Phew. Yeah, and in those cases, it's like just not worth it. I mean, you're there, you do get to network with other comedians and stuff like that and chop it up. But I don't know, like the other part of that is, like I said, I'm almost 45. And a lot of the people in the scene are in their mid 20s. And just to be straight up, like there aren't a lot of like commonalities and a lot of shared life experiences. And so while I feel like I'm a generalist and can talk to anyone, comedy wise, like there's just not like a vibe or like a deep connection there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there aren't a lot of parents in the comedy scene for the reasons that we were just talking about.
Yeah, right.
It's a late night,
so a lot of the jokes,
drinking, generally kind of a thing, and I don't do much of that either. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of the jokes are about drinking, like getting drunk or doing drugs or sexuality or like, that's like, it's almost like that's what all the jokes revolve around. And I maybe that's like not me being generous enough, but it feels that way. And I think when you're in your 20s and you haven't lived a lot of life, like you haven't traveled the world, you haven't had kids, you haven't had to deal with marriage. Like, what else is there to joke about? You know?
You can only write about what you know.
So I kind of get where they're coming from, but yeah. And
I do think it's that's also hard.
But like the scene can be very antagonistic toward Christians. I don't go out and do like religious comedy in like a club or something like that, but some scenes are very, very anti-faith, really anti-Christian, but so there's that dynamic as well.
I've definitely been in some rooms where that dynamic has been made clear. Like, oh, aren't you a Christian? I'm like, as they're bashing it. But I also get it. I think, as a Christian, I understand. I've been hurt by the church before. I understand that other people are hurt by the church. But it's the people. It's not Jesus. It's not God.
Right.
But I've been fortunate enough to have other beautiful experiences with the church. So it's hard. But I don't know. Open mics are. I feel like they're still necessary, but I do wish that I got more out of them. And I think there's just a lot of people in our scene. I really love. We had a specifically clean open mic that I used to go to every single Thursday. And there's a new one here at the Why Not Saloon, which is also fabulous. And that's a little bit better because I feel like at a lot of the late night, not clean mics, it's a lot of comedians just trying to one-up each other and go for that shock value, uncomfortable joke. Like they're playing to the comedian. And I think that's fine. That's funny. It makes for a fun night. But it means that, you or I with kind of our lighter family friendly, like we're not going to really know if a joke works based on that. But we've got a great mic that Zanies puts on now, and they'll get real audience there. So that one I think too is very beneficial. And then it gets you in front of them as well, in front of the Zanies people.
And that makes all the difference too. Like, right, whether Like, I've talked about that, gosh, so many times on the podcast about the difference between an open mic crowd versus like a paying crowd, the difference between a Tuesday night crowd versus a Friday or Saturday night crowd, right? Like all that really does make a big difference when people are primed and ready and expecting to laugh versus, I got in free, make me laugh, like
It's so true.
it's a huge difference. Yeah.
I was very lucky, and I got to open for Victoria Jackson, who was on SNL in the 80s and 90s. She was doing a show, and I happened to have been her teacher at the time, and she knew I was trying to do stand-up, so I got to open for her, which was amazing. But her crowd, I mean, I was going from open mics, and like you say, like little free shows, and then I go to this crowd of 200-300 people. They're all there for her. I've been fans of hers for decades. I mean, it felt great. I got so many laughs, I was like, oh, this is so much easier than it is at an open mic. But I mean, I do need to be at those to push myself, as well. I don't want to just rely on somebody's friendly crowd. I want to be good at the craft.
Right. It's a big confidence boost though, right? Like when you're up in front of a crowd like that and you're like, I can do it. I can do this. Like, versus like an open mic where you could tell these same exact jokes and it's like, nobody, like, that's not a confidence boost. And then you leave wondering, should I cut that joke? Should I cut that joke? Like, yeah.
And sometimes you just have to be stubborn and not cut it. But I mean, there's even a huge difference. I've been fortunate to, I work with the Clean Comedy Collective a lot. And I've been producing for them. Drew Davis has been instrumental in giving me stage time and like really helping develop me as a comic. But so I've gotten to host a lot for them, and then I thought, so I'll host, and that'll help me kind of develop. And when you're the first one up, it's a cold audience, and if you get laughs, you feel pretty good. And then I had been hosting for several months pretty exclusively, last year, and then featured or came like second to last or something. And I was like, I had people coming up to the producer after, like, who is that? We need her back. I mean, it was totally different. The warm crowd was totally different, but it did make me appreciate all that hosting time because I had to work so hard for those laughs as a host.
Right. Yeah, that's often a thankless job too. Like a lot of people, I mean, a lot's riding on the host. As you say, you're the first person up. And like in my mind, right, the host should be like priming the audience for the feature, and the feature should be priming the audience for the headliner, and of course usually the host will come back in between the two, but there's so much riding on the host, and you don't want to be that person who goes up first and then the feature has to try to win the room back, right?
Nothing feels worse. Yeah, nothing feels worse than going, I'm sorry, you can do it,
Yeah, so that's tough, but well, man, this has been really fun. I appreciate you sharing. And this is, for those of you watching or listening, this is just part one of my chat with Brinn. And I want to encourage you to subscribe to the podcast so you know when part two is coming out. I usually release these episodes on Tuesdays and Saturdays. So yes, it's on YouTube, Spotify, all the things. Or you can go to michaelhalcomb.live. So yeah, check out Brinn Daniels, Brinn with 2 N's. BrinnDaniels.com, and you can keep up with Brinn there, and she'll have her social media stuff on there that you can click on and follow her and subscribe and all that stuff too. And after you've done that, head over to michaelhalcomb.live, and I have a daily blog on there. I try to write about comedy stuff all the time, always posting the podcasts. It's like 3 podcasts a week, and all kinds of stuff, a lot of comedy stuff, so lots of free stuff as well. But I have the Joke Writers Lab. It's a private group on Facebook that y'all can join as well. So I'd encourage you to do that. And then the joke writing course on Udemy, also called the Joke Writers Lab. So check that out. But we are going to wrap up episode 1 here. And I'm going to stop and say I hope that helps.
It's all messed up, yeah. Everything's messed up. We're going from this mess up to the next setup. Everything seems so messed up, but but it's just a setup.